Hello, you are listening to Standing in the Fire, where we talk about entrepreneurship and standing in the flames. It's been a while since we've been on.
It has been too long.
Very long. And I actually, just before Kris and I started recording, I was like, I don't remember what we say at the beginning. So that's what we're starting off, is trying to remember how we start, and then we go from there. So we've got actually some good stuff to talk about because it's been a little bit
But we're back.
busy.
We're back.
We're definitely back now, yeah. We took a break over the summer. There was a lot of stuff happening over the summer. We should probably talk about that. So first off, summer, I tend to go on vacation and I work on that, but a lot less because my kids are around and I try to be around them as much as I can in the summer, whether that's good or bad for either of us. And Kris was kind of busy too.
Yeah, we were busy opening. As you'll notice, our background has changed a little bit. If you can see the video version of it, we were opening a new entrepreneurship hub in South Bend, and late June, we did our soft opening where construction was still happening, and finally got to cut the ribbon in mid-September. So that's been kind of consuming the last 4 to 6 months of my life.
Yes, it's been very consuming. It's also very awesome though, because now Box Out has an office upstairs. Kris and I are in pretty much every day. He's in obviously a lot more than me. I guess one of the other interesting things that it just occurred to me we should probably talk about is the programming and the events and things like that, and like how you've been trying to get people in. And you got some absolute ballers.
And hopefully with this podcast or with offshoots, hopefully we can get them in to do some little interviews. So we were able to have, a couple of weeks ago, the co-founder of Hotwire.com was in town. And so he gave an awesome keynote to a small group. A lot of Q&A happened. And just told the story of, which was super interesting. That was actually, and I might get some of the details wrong, but it was made more from a PE type firm than like a startup entrepreneur coming up with an idea. They saw a gap in the market and then created the solution when they already had relationships with the transportation folks versus one person in their garage kind of starting it, and like how much money they spent on them. Version 1 was just, I feel like blew our minds. But that was back in 1999. And then we also had a partner from a VC firm that was the first investors in Facebook and first investors in Slack. And that would have been awesome. Again, hopefully they'll come back in town where we can, now they have this new studio open, that we can have conversations with them one-on-one. And then this week we just had a pitch night where we had 15 startups pitching their ideas, giving out some prize money, giving out food, giving out drinks, and just having a good time.
Yeah, that's awesome. I mean, and that's one of the key things I think about this space is the food and the drinks. They are always present. And so I'm a fan of that. Even yesterday, I was like, oh, I'm hungry. I'm going to go to lunch. And like Kris was busy. And so then I was like, okay, I'll go to Matt Belcher. Matt was busy. Then I went to Matt and Josh. They were like, oh, we just ate. And I was like, here? And they're like, yeah, there's food in the fridge. And so I went in the fridge and I had delicious tacos.
Awesome.
And I don't know how long they sat out the night before, but I'm here today and I'm fine. So it worked out okay.
You warmed it to 160.
Yeah.
That's all that matters.
Yeah. Yeah. We have a microwave and I pressed a button and 60 seconds later I was good to go. Yeah. So yeah, that is a good, and actually that's a really nice benefit. And I think that's one of the cool things about Momentum itself is the community.
Yeah.
And I think that's what we're also like this year. So I guess that's the other thing we should probably talk about is we actually got together, the three of us. So also you'll notice Garrett's not here. He lives in Colorado. We kicked him off the podcast. He's not interesting anyways. Sorry, Garrett. No, he just, because we can record face-to-face, we were like, let's just try this a little bit, and then we'll figure out how to Zoom him in or Riverside him in or something like that later. But for now, we're just going to kick it with us because that'll be easier to get going and stuff. But we actually met because we have now owned Fireside for over a year. Yeah. So what would you say, we're just going to bounce around a lot this episode. This is just catching up. But what would you say like the first year was like for you?
I feel like it was different than we expected, for sure. And we had lots of plans and we tried to do as many of them as possible, but also knowing that life happens and also like projects happen. So it was different than expected, but not necessarily in a bad way. It was just like growing from here's maybe making more reasonable goals over a period of time so that we can execute on them and do them well versus thinking we're going to do all these things in a short period of time and then not being able to do them. I think often I have grandiose visions.
All of us. Yeah. All of us do.
For anything we do.
Yeah.
And I think it was interesting because we were all new-ish working with each other. And so I think we wanted to shoot for the moon. But I think we've made a lot of steady progress. And I think now we're putting ourselves on a track to do a lot more efficiently than maybe we did the first year.
Yeah, and I think that's one thing we could talk about too is like we, for the first year, it was relatively, I would almost say unorganized.
Yeah,
Like we just
yeah.
we were like reacting a lot, very reactive. Not like we came in, we had a plan, we executed. It was kind of like figuring out how we're all going to work together and figuring out what we're going to do and figuring out the product, because we're like, we don't even know. I mean, none of us, Garrett had a podcast, but the rest of us had not had a podcast. So figuring out the mechanics of what's involved, how to do it, how to edit it, how to publish stuff, how like it should work, any of those kinds of things. So, and then additionally, like there was a lot of maintenance. So there's a lot of like just getting things back to running really smoothly, lots of infrastructure, things like that. Even this morning or last night and today, I've been working on metrics. So anyone who's a customer who's listening, you're going to have really fast metrics really soon, and you're going to be excited about it. And so that's stuff that like you don't plan in your vision. You don't say like, we're going to come in and we're going to make metrics fast again. You think like, oh, we're going to do like some crazy stuff.
New stuff.
Yeah. But then you get customers who write in, they say like, oh, my metrics aren't loading. And it's like, then you're shifted. You get shifted off of it. And that kind of happens. So that was definitely, I think that was my expectation of the first year, was like, we'll come in and we're just going to like blow people's minds.
Right.
And instead it was like, we came in and we're just like, you know what, let's just like take everybody from maybe perhaps a little frustrated to like happy.
Yeah.
And that has definitely worked. I think we've done that. We've a lot of reach out from customers who are like, this is awesome. Like you did the t-shirt stuff.
Yeah, I was going to bring that up, but yeah, continue.
Yeah, no, talk about the t-shirt stuff. That was cool.
For anyone who may not be in the U.S. who listens to this, and you may be like, I replied and wanted my t-shirt and it hasn't shown up yet. Apologies to that. They're all now shipped.
Oh, cool.
So we had shipped all the U.S. ones early on.
Yep.
And then shipping the international ones should take a little more time to fill out all the forms. And it just kept not getting to the top of the list. And so as of last week, I want to say all of those are shipped out, going all over the world, honestly. And it's interesting. We actually did it. We should have done it over the summer, because now there's new USPS shipping rates for the holidays. So we may have paid a little bit of a premium for it, but wear them with pride.
Yeah.
Tweet about it and tag us in them.
And we've actually had some already, like people from Blue Sky, Twitter, both. People, I love my host. Yeah. Here's why I love them. And I'm like, that's really cool. I mean, that's not the point of doing it. The point is just to say thanks to people who have been here for like a long time. Because Fireside was 2016, so we're coming up on
which means, there'll be next
decade party.
What are we doing next year?
But going back to like what we were talking about, so we've been
in small things,
we've been in it a year. And we were like, oh, well, we thought we would get way farther. We didn't, but that's okay. We made a bunch of progress, and we're all very like long-term. I would say we're very long-term minded, but like short-term impatient. And
but I would say like that, as we talk about the Entrepreneurship Hub that we're sitting in, there's a lot of those things that similar, I think, for anything. So a lot of the small things that tenants want are easy to do, but weren't on the plan.
Yeah.
Right. And so but wanting to say yes to them, because you don't want people to get frustrated. You don't want people to be like, like there's never any coffee, there's never any toilet paper.
Yeah.
Like all those things that take time, but it's similar to like you want your pages to load.
Yep.
You want your podcast to go out. Yep. Those things have to work. And it makes me
And I will say that's one of the things we made the biggest difference on, is people being able to publish episodes and not have issues. And if there are issues, correct it on their own. Like it seems like a very small thing, but it's actually like a decent amount of mechanics with caching and delivery and MP3s and all those kinds of things and RSS feeds, and the fact that everything is kind of pull based. All those things add up to, it's kind of hard to get your episode out on time sometimes. There are, I've even heard from people who are using other hosts recently, like friends in town, and they're like, oh my gosh, like if I use this fancy feature, then my episode will not publish on time. I have to like,
interesting.
Pull back and not use the fancy part, and then it'll get out on time. And then after it's out, I can sometimes like add the fancy back in, like the dynamic content or things like that. But I've definitely. So I'm ABC, always be closing. Like occasionally, I'm gonna go at you, the audience, once in a while. But always be closing. So I told him, I was like, well, hey, we have not had that issue. We've been pretty solid now for several months, which has been nice. But there's little things like that. The most fun part, I think, was
what was it?
Getting all three of us together.
Yeah.
And all three of us together during such a big moment. Getting
and I don't know if you mentioned when you said Garrett was here. So Garrett was able to come for our ribbon cutting launch of the space, and he also got to experience a Notre Dame football game tailgating.
Yeah,
he got like the not the typical South Bend experience when he was here for sure.
He got the best of everything.
Yes.
Yeah, we tried to even take him to Rose Lily, which did not work out. His flight got delayed, and so every time you leave, Gunnison Airport and all that, you can plan on delays. So he got delayed. He didn't make it in time. But Philip, who works at Box Out, went instead, and we always joke he moaned the entire meal. So shout out to you, Philip. I was probably moaning also. Chris moans when he eats. He's coming over for dinner later tonight. I expect I'll probably hear some moaning. So it just happens. But we had a great time, all three of us together. First time we've all been together, period. And the first time I've been with Garrett in quite a while. It was probably a year or more. Mm-hmm. And so that was a really good time. Web Whiskey Weekend was that weekend, which is a fun group of people that get together. So we got to see them again, which had been 10 years for some of those people. And then the three of us got to be together. We got to see Momentum. They got to meet, you had probably met my parents before.
You're correct. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
But Garrett hadn't. So my parents got to meet Garrett, which just for me, it's like, that's fun. So all of that was really cool. And then we spent that Sunday basically planning. We were like, okay, what are we going to do over the next year? Now we've got a solid foundation. How do we start doing the stuff that separates us from other people? And I think that was really fun too.
Yeah, absolutely. The other thing I was thinking, so last September, one of our early episodes, I feel like we talked, we've only had 6 or 7 so far. And I remember we talked about Black Friday stuff.
Oh, yeah.
I'll be curious if we should talk about that again, if we're going to do stuff for different projects we have.
Yeah.
And the success or what that's like this year versus previous years. I don't know why I was thinking about that, but I was like, we talked about that.
Follow up.
Episode 1 and now episode 10, we can just talk about it again.
I mean, we're just showing that we're seasoned podcasters.
Yeah.
We're a year in. We're doing follow-up episodes. It's all A material here. Yep. So, yeah. The other thing that was really cool, I feel like, is we have been working on a new marketing site. So from the beginning, Fireside has looked the same. Every time you go to sign in, you're just going to see the same look that was there before us. And I think some could say that's just lipstick or things like that. But I think when people use software, when they visit your site, they should feel the people who build it. Mm-hmm. And so I think that's one thing that we really wanted to do.
Yeah, and I don't want to say to overhype it, but I feel like, so we've done, and I say we as myself and my team for other clients have done websites before over the last 10 years. And working with 2 programmers to do it is a very different experience. But I'll say, like, the thoughts that go into certain interactions, like consumer interactions, is a very different thought process, like that Garrett has had. And so I'm not to oversell, but I'm excited about getting it out there because I think there's a lot of thought that went into every piece of it. Yeah. And it's just going to be, again, maybe it flops, but I don't think it will. Yeah. But I think it'll be it'll bring that experience from just feeling like a mid-2010s website to something that, again, feels genuine and feels really cool.
Yeah, and you'll get like a sense of there's just, again, and Garrett will be the first person to say this, if there's anything Garrett can do, it's overthink and go into the details. And he really did on this. So at the end of this, we could have just, and kind of like what Kris is saying, we could have just really quickly cranked out a new website. Yep. That's a thing. It's possible. Yep. But we also want to redo the customer admin where they manage all their episodes and stuff like that, where they see their metrics. We also want to add new themes. And so again, it kind of goes back to building that foundation. So Garrett's been working on that foundation. So Kris worked on the design side of it, and then
content.
Yep, content, all that. Then it goes over. Garrett works on the build. So he's got this whole design system and colors and all of it. It's kind of interesting because it's all built on flames and the idea of fire because we're Fireside and it's a cool name. So I think when it's all said and done, it's going to be great. Did it take longer than we would have hoped? Sure. But that's the way everything is. I've said this 4 times recently. And it's just because it's so true. But we do this not because it's easy, but because we thought it would be easy. Mm-hmm. And it's just the same thing as all the stuff with the website and the features or the app and the features and all that. You think it's going to be really easy, and turns out everything is hard, especially if you're on older technology. So getting the technology updated makes it a lot easier to move forward. So this is all Bootstrap 5 or the latest or whatever like that. And I think having that as your foundation makes a big difference. It just makes it faster to move forward once you have stuff out. So what I'm really fired up about is we'll get this new marketing site out. People will then start to feel like us in the software. They'll be like, oh, this feels modern. This feels cool. I can tell people who care about the details are working on this. And then from there, it's okay, now we redo the actual customer admin experience of how they manage their podcast, which should go really fast because we have all of the styles, all the content blocks, all the different kinds of ways we would want to show information already done.
But one, I'd also say that we also have a list of at least 10 that I put in an issue of simple fixes to make the workflow go way easier.
Yeah.
Because so I think there's a lot of, I hate the word low hanging fruit, but I think there's a lot of low hanging fruit of like making that production side way smoother, way quicker, and just like to duplicate things or to save things and get different social profiles up. That maybe is a little cumbersome or that just no one thought of to put in there that we can knock out. Yeah.
Like one of the things Garrett said, he was like, hey, can we get high quality photos of the podcast room? Because this is the Fireside podcast studio. We should have that on the website.
Yeah.
We're like, oh yeah, duh. Like, I mean, it's stuff you think about sometimes, but you don't always, then you kind of forget. And then we actually get into it and we're building everything out. And like, that does kind of make us a little bit unique and different that like, we actually have a podcast studio. Maybe we can bring customers in to 100%. Record episodes here.
Yeah.
Do what we have Momentum, which is like, it's not owned by Fireside, but two of us in Fireside are investors and owners in Momentum. And I'm like, it has an event space. It can fit 160, 170 people. So maybe we do podcast conference.
Oh, now I thought I'd be the one to say that.
Well,
but
here's the thing. I like to take credit for other ideas from other people. So again, like I have no idea how to do that. I would never do that.
Yeah.
But you've done a lot of those.
Yeah, but and even to get like, now that you brought it up, to have like 50 creators or producers come and to have some panels, have some talks, have some workshops, just to not be competitive but learn from each other.
Yeah.
I think that would be just a really cool thing. We've been doing Idea Week here in South Bend since 2017. It's not to that scale, but I think that's a model of, okay, how do you program? How do you plan it? What are all the pieces you need to think about of lodging and food, and how do you get a speaker here? How do you book the speaker? What's that customer experience? Like, is there lunch during break times? And I think that could just be something fun. And if we wanted to like own a mini version of that here, I think that could be super fun and cool.
I think it'd be amazing because again, like part of the reason I even wanted to be involved in Momentum is I just want all my friends together to work. And I love the idea of bringing all my friends from out of town in as well. In some fashion.
It's funny. I was giving a tour earlier today, and I've said this multiple times to people, and I know it always sounds silly when it comes out of my mouth. It's like, oh yeah, we built this so I can hang out with my friends in a really cool space.
That does sound silly. Yeah, it sounds very
but it's kind of true. But it's more to talking to like the quality and the level of things that we do, like regardless of it's just the physical space or like software is something that we want to use, something that we want to like that we would want to use ourselves.
Yeah.
And then that quality and that sort of product.
Yeah. And the same thing from the people that are involved, the community that gets created. Momentum is being very intentional about these are the people we want in here, and these are the speakers we want in, and this is what we want people to be able to learn, to build their companies, to grow them, all that kind of stuff. And I feel like it's the same thing at Fireside. We're like, look, we want to create this community of people that, I mean, the community already exists. We just want to like help that community.
Right.
Get their podcasts out. I did a call with a customer last week or the week before. I don't remember. I think it was last week. And he was like, oh, I would love to like beta test like anything, like just any feature that I can get in early on. I'm just trying to grow my podcast. Here's the things I'm doing to try and grow it. Are you guys seeing this trend of this or across all your customers? Has this happened? He's just really into golf. He's got a podcast. He's been using Fireside forever. And he's like, I want to take it to the next level. How do I do that? And I feel like that's the kind of stuff we want to get together and do. Same as Momentum.
And that's even like a great topic of, I'd be curious for someone, either him or someone like him, of where are they at and maybe where has it stagnated growth? And then having folks that we could work with to help get to the next level. There's even a friend of mine who does a lot of stuff with like YouTube creators. And she goes around other cities, gets them together, and talks about YouTube features, but also then how to grow and using their stuff. And it's super valuable. Creates a community, but also I think it could unstick some people of things they didn't think about because everyone's in their little zone and not knowing where there's space to grow. Like even ours, we don't do a lot of right now. We tried it for a little bit, but it just a bandwidth of like marketing, right? Or like social media marketing of like, do we spend time on Instagram? Do we spend time on LinkedIn? Where is it? But I'm sure it's easy to get some advice from someone else. Like, hey, do these 3 things and then do that for a month and see how it works. Versus when you have 1,000 things to do, it's like, which one do you focus on? So I don't know, having someone come in and give some tips to folks, I think could be super interesting.
That reminds me of Mr. Beast because like people reach out to him all the time. They're like, how do I get to be like amazing at content? And he's like, do 100 videos and then come back to me.
Yep.
And he's like, I say that because at 100 videos, if you get to that, then you know what you need to do. And if you don't get to that, then you haven't wasted his time.
Right. Well, I even think we'll see what episode number this is. But if you're thinking about the first 7 to 10 that we've done and how we're going to try to improve it over the next 3 to 5, we wouldn't have gotten here if we didn't do the first 6 the way we did it. And now we're actually in person in a studio. And single camera, but we'll eventually get multicam.
Professionals. Awesome. Cool. So is there anything else today? Again, it's like roundup. We're just trying to go over. I think momentum was a big thing. The year for Fireside, we of course toasted that. Kris made sure we did. We planned for the next year,
right?
Which I think was that's a solid way to approach things. We haven't really done that in the past. We're trying to get a little more ducks in a row, organized. Black Friday will be coming up here soon. We'll have a review episode on what did we do last year? What will we do different this year? I'm trying to think, what are some other, is there anything else that comes to mind?
Is there anything you're looking forward to? So we have 2 months. We have November, December. Is there anything you're looking forward to over the next 2 months that personally, professionally?
Yeah, so professionally is what always comes to mind. Like personally, I don't have like a lot of goals. It's mostly like
we battle on that a lot.
Yeah.
We're just different.
I don't make goals ever. I mean, I have goals. They're just like very
different.
Generic.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if they count as goals. Like professionally, I have 3 things. Like one big thing a couple big things with Fireside, a couple big things with Flipper, and a couple big things with Box Out.
Yeah.
And I think those are like those 3 things I'm really hoping to kind of wrap up over the next month, 2 months. And so if I can kind of knock those things out, I think I will feel, I even told Steph, I was like, my wife, I was like, when I get these done, like all 3 of them and they're checked off, I want to do something to celebrate. I don't know what that is, but I want to do something because that will mean all of these will be in a great, stable place for like the next year of growth. And then all I got to do is say, okay, I want to focus on growth now. How do I make onboarding better? We've been starting to do this on Box Out already, where we're like heavily focused on onboarding. Even like yesterday, paired and added some new stuff that should help people. Just like little things. And I'm like, I want to do those same things on Flipper and on Fireside, especially because like Flipper is small compared to Fireside, but it's really growing. We've been pulling some bigger customers and stuff like that. And so I think I want all 3 of them to be just like excellent at like, you come to the website, you sign up, and then bam, all of a sudden you go down this slippery slope. We've all had those products. Like I know I've had like a bunch of them where you start using it and then all of a sudden a day later you have read all their docs and you've signed up and you're kicking the tires and you've already put in your credit card even though you have a free trial because you're just like, yes, I know this is the thing. And I want all of those products to be that. So that's my next year.
Yeah, you have to tell me when that happens because you know that I'm always one for celebration, even if it doesn't relate to me. It made me think of 3 things, and these will all be futures. And I know we're not taking notes, but we should have notepads here. We should at some point talk about the new email marketing software that we've been trying out with a different speaker deck, and I think we'll put this on there and how we're kind of setting up that onboarding and kind of how that software is working. The other thing I was thinking of is, we talked about this a year ago, and we'll see how many playbooks I've made, but of creating playbooks for everything, internally or externally. Yeah, all these, they can be more topics to talk about. You said something else, but I can't recall what your goals made me think of a lot of things that would be interesting for folks to know.
Awesome.
Yeah. Oh, we lost the video, it looks like.
I guess that means we're at the end.
This is our first time in the new studio, so there's a little bit of learnings that go along with it.
Yeah, it was like real happenstance right before. We're like, are we doing video? Are we just doing audio? Okay, let's try and do video. Spend 5 minutes and see what happens.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
Is there anything we should, I don't know, like I feel like we're at that point in the episode where we should tell people something, like if they like this, what they should do?
Oh, they should definitely like and subscribe. And if we post it somewhere where you can comment, for sure do that as well.
Yep.
Give us a like, give us a share. It helps the algorithm.
Yep. Yeah. If you like us, then help us in the algorithm. All right. Well, we'll be back next week.
Yeah, we're going to be back
next week with more stuff. Yeah. That was a good summer summary. So
I forget how we end it. So we'll just say, that's the episode.